UFC 294, Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman in the co-main event. Originally, Khamzat Chimaev versus Paulo Costa. It is now Kamaru Usman showing up on 1.5 weeks' notice. Excuse me. And I have laid out the 3 keys to victory for Khamzat Chimaev. The 3 things I think he needs to get going, he needs to do if he wants to beat Khamzat Chimaev. This is his first really big test in middleweight. Technically speaking, Kamaru Usman is a welterweight, but still, his last fight was against his last fight in middleweight was against Gerald Meerschaert. This is a new territory for both of them, right? Khamzat Chimaev hasn't fought middleweight for a while, but he does have the frame. He knows how it feels to make 185. Kamaru Usman does not, and I think there are a few things here that will benefit Khamzat Chimaev going into this fight with Kamaru Usman. The first thing I think he needs to get going is leg kicks. So Chimaev threw several low kicks, all of which got Burns' attention. If you go watch his fight with Burns, he lands several low kicks, all of which get acknowledged by Burns. He kind of gives him like a nod, like, yeah, you got me there. Usman is known for having really weak knees and legs, right? If you look at him, you know his knees have been giving him issues, I think, almost his entire career, and it's only getting worse. In the fight with Edwards, the third one, where Edwards was defending his belt, in round 2, Usman had absorbed 17 out of 17 leg kicks. In other words, every leg kick that Leon Edwards had attempted, they landed. Kamaru Usman was completely unable to check or block or move out of the way of any leg kick, and they will slow you down as the fight goes on. He just can't do it. And so I really do think Khamzat Chimaev needs to use those against Usman like he did against Burns. With Usman taking this fight on short notice, I think the leg kicks are going to be there, right? Usman's goal is going to be kind of get this over with as quick as possible. He's taking this fight on short notice. He might not have the same cardio that he typically does, right? The CO, VPO, you never know how that works. And the one thing I will say for Chimaev is that when he throws the leg kicks, be careful of the jab. Be careful of a counter. Usman in general isn't a very good counter striker, but if you do throw a leg kick, there's always a chance of being caught. So I think one thing Chimaev does well is he keeps his guard up, usually at all times. So I don't think this is something that I need to be, or any of us who are picking Chimaev need to be worried about. But I would say, just in case, this is something that you kind of have to watch. Usman does have a really, really good jab, a powerful jab. So I would, I think if Chimaev throws leg kicks and he's either parrying the jab or blocking the jab, it's a really good sign. Second, he needs to initiate the clinch, and he needs to throw the knees up the middle. I was watching the fight with Edwards and Usman number 3, and they were open all night for Edwards. He would get the clinch, he would throw the knee, 2 or 3 times they landed. Every single time they kind of stumbled him. Really good. It seems that Usman just kind of doesn't really have head movement. He'll just keep his head straight down, and the knees are there. Chimaev is more than likely going to wrestle with Usman. There's no real threat of submission with Usman, so when you get him on the ground, like I know Edwards had his back. Now that's kind of a different situation, but in general, Usman's not really a submission master. He's not exactly going to fight with you, play jiu-jitsu with you. When Gilbert Burns was on the ground, he was kind of just kicking at him, telling him to get up. He wasn't really interested in engaging in his guard. But Usman is very strong, and I will say that when I was watching his fight with Edwards, he did trip, but he just got back up, right? He does not let himself stay down for too long. He's really, really strong in the wrestling. Edwards shot a takedown and suffered for it bad. He got hurt. Covington also, when he stuffs the takedown too, he goes straight for the body with those big shots. But Chimaev, I think, is a lot stronger than Colby and a lot more technically sound than Edwards when it comes to the grappling. So I don't think that's something that Chimaev is going to struggle with as much as those 2 men did. But it is something to keep in mind. And I would also say, again, the clinch position, knees up. When you're moving out of the clinch, when you're separating, it is perfect. It's there every day, all day. He just eats them. He doesn't even try to move out of the way. So I would definitely say that Chimaev should get this going. And moving on to the third and last thing, or rather the way I've got it designed, the most important thing that he has to do, he has to keep the forward pressure. I can't stress it enough. Usman is not a back foot boxer. He isn't going to be fighting on the back foot. He's just going to move back. Usually fighters don't typically try to pressure him. He's the one doing the pressure. And the Edwards fight, there was that comical moment at the start of the round where Usman just kind of darted right through the right through the cage, right? Like, and Edwards was like, "What's going on here? Why are you starting so close to me?" And I just think he does that because he likes the pressure. He likes keeping you on the back foot. He likes having you against the cage where he could get his jab going and he can take you down as well. And a lot of his power is from his jab and cross. And again, his legs and his knees, we don't know if Usman's able to really sit down on his shots and have the power that he once had. But if he does, it's going to come from the jabs and the crosses. There's not really much else worrying when it comes to Usman. So he only really gets the jab going when he's doing the forward pressure. So if you are the one backing up Usman, you just took away half of his power shots. And they're both forward pressure fighters. Chimaev also really likes having his opponents back up against the cage. He did this very well against Gilbert Burns. Burns did push Chimaev back several times, but Chimaev is actually pretty good on the back foot. He was landing really good and accurate counters. So if there's anybody I do trust on the back foot, it's going to be Chimaev. And if Usman does get the pressure going, I have enough faith in Chimaev to be able to survive. But I think in the long run, he's going to have to find a way to push Usman back. Leg kicks, teeps, jabs, he's got to get all that going. And Usman will be wary of Chimaev's wrestling, so that's really interesting because up until now, we haven't really seen Usman be afraid of anybody's wrestling, right? Like Colby Covington, no, Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns. But I think this is going to be the first time we're going to see Usman actually wary. Okay, there's this really big, strong guy, a natural middleweight, could potentially fight at light heavyweight if he wanted to, who has really, really good wrestling, very strong. It's terrifying, right? Like what this man can do. He got Kevin Holland, who's a big, lanky guy, obviously not the best wrestler, but the way he was just manhandling him, the way he took Gilbert Burns and just quick, like with almost just pure ease, was dragging Gilbert Burns around. He's just so strong, and I do think Usman's going to be a bit wary of that. So I think that he's going to be a bit more pressure heavy than even usual. This is Kamaru Usman we're talking about. I really don't think he wants there to be too much space, or else Chimaev is going to go for those takedowns. But I think that for Chimaev, he has to get the forward pressure going. He has to back Usman up, because when Usman is backed up, he can't do anything. He's not going to land any accurate shots. He's not very good on the back foot anyways, and you just got to teep at him. You got to break him down little by little, and I think the victory for sure is there for Khamzat Chimaev, who I am picking for this fight. So now the question is, who are you guys picking, right? This is a really fascinating fight for all of us. For us fans of MMA, of UFC, this is a fight that you can think of it as a dream fight, right? And it's happening on 1.5 weeks' notice. It's crazy. It opens up all sorts of new possibilities that can happen. I am going with Khamzat Chimaev, but let me know who you guys think is going to win. And yeah, can't wait for this. Hope to see you guys soon. Peace.